The art of parenterocentrism, where it's always their world and anyone else is just living in it. What is up, everyone? It's Kelsey with Diary of the Childfree, and welcome back to episode 9 of our monthly series, What Would You Do? Today's discussion is centered around the types of parents and/or guardians who allow children to do whatever, whenever. We see this happen more times than we would like to admit, but this one Reddit story really got under my skin. A couple purchased a very high-end crokinole board, which is a type of board game, and part of the purchasing agreement was that it first had to be on display for public play before they went to go pick it up. The user mentioned that most people are very considerate when it comes to playing on these boards, knowing not only the incredible craftsmanship and hard work that goes into creating these boards, but also the fact that people have already purchased them and they belong to actual people. Unfortunately for this couple, the board that they purchased ended up being free entertainment for a grandmother and her grandchildren right before they went to go pick it up. They were not using it for its proper intentions and were being very rough with it. They were throwing the pieces way too rough, causing dents, passing things like their sippy cups over it, and not to mention using it as a table for their snacks. What made things worse was the fact that the grandmother was completely unbothered by all of this, especially when it came to taking fault for the situation, because to her understanding, apparently these boards were public use, so it was a free-for-all, and to her, the kids were just having fun. Well, there's a difference between just having fun and basic etiquette and manners. More than ever, we are seeing the lines purposely blurred between what's associated as actually child-friendly. Just because you have a child, it doesn't automatically grant you a pass in taking advantage of certain situations. And just because it's entertaining your child doesn't mean it's acceptable, all because it means you get to take a break. Children are destructive and lack certain understanding and boundaries when it comes to things. You can choose to do whatever you desire in the comfort of your own home, but when it comes to going out, the majority of us know to carry a certain level of public decency. Society's rules are there for the public benefit and not for your own selfishness. If children aren't being taught that that behavior is wrong, how are they ever going to learn? Chances are they won't. And as the parent or guardian, rather than doing something in the now, they'll likely just end up complaining about their kids' generation while forgetting that they were the ones that raised them. So while it may not be your space to clean or item to replace, it still negatively affects a person or a business in some shape or form. Empathizing with parents can only go so far when so many situations can easily be controlled. I'm sure the majority of us can relate to being raised to say please and thank you in addition to knowing good from bad. It is up to our parents and future parents to teach the necessary skills needed to learn how to be a respectful person very early on in life. When you are outside of your own space, you need to be so diligent with everything and simply apologize when it comes to those situations where you're clearly in the wrong. With how common it's becoming that parents are trying to blend their old lifestyle with their new one as parents, adapt to situations. Places that should be adult only aren't going to be catering to the needs of your children. Not every place is going to be ran like a Dave & Buster's, a Chuck E. Cheese, or anything of that sort. Bring them their own entertainment that makes sense for where you're going, so that they don't feel compelled to find the next best thing to ease their bored minds. Or, better yet, research the places you're going to in advance to see what the overall vibe is, and perhaps make the smarter judgment to either leave the kids at home or choose a different location. We all know that parenting is far from easy, but it doesn't grant you access to be a crap person. If you wanted to have children or watch children, you are required to parent or stand in as a temporary fill-in for that role. It's a huge responsibility, and you have to handle things accordingly. People, for the most part, are pretty easygoing when it comes to children having their moments, and acting up considering we were all at one point their age too. But it doesn't account for the rude or destructive behavior that could have been prevented right from the get-go. We all make choices, and if you decided to bring your child to an environment not necessarily meant for children, or that required a certain level of respect or at least overall decency, you better be prepared for dirty looks and potential consequences. People want the easy way these days, but the world, and especially strangers, aren't your personal playground or babysitters. I think I've personally faced a lot of these situations where it's hard to hide my emotions anymore. My face will give off my mood almost immediately. While I carry respect and empathy over a lot of situations, I'm also not going to let myself be disrespected either. Speaking specifically to this couple's scenario with a crokinole board, I am fully on board for both of them calling out this lady for her behavior. They had every reason to be furious, especially considering that this lady let her grandkids use their table as their own personal snack tray. This couple purchased it with their own hard-earned money, only to have it used and abused with such a lack of care. To which I was actually surprised to read that the grandmother, the lady, actually had the audacity to try to defend herself and her grandkids. If it's evident that you messed up, own up to it and don't play the victim. So now it's your turn to chime in. What would you do in this situation? Or considering how common it is, what have you done in this situation? Let me know in the comments below. I'll make sure to tag the Reddit story down in the description so that you can all read the full story in the comments for yourselves. And if you'd like to see more, make sure to like and subscribe to stay posted. And as always, keep being authentically child-free.